Alright, now we're going to take a look at file comparison operators. Sometimes you may want to find out if a file exists, or if a file is a regular file, or a directory. Right? There are operators to handle all these things. Right? Now, before we begin, let me just list the operators that exist. An E stands for exists. An F stands for file, meaning that it checks if a file is a regular file. A D checks if a file is a directory. An E an R checks if a file is readable. W checks if a file is writable. An X checks if a file is executable. An S checks if a file has size. That means it's not empty. Uh, then you have the OT or the NT, which checks to see if a file is older than another file or newer than another file. Right? Now, for our first example, I will open one called file test that I've already created, and you can see here we have a dash F. If this file is a regular file, then echo that the file is a regular file. Else echo it's not a regular file. Okay, so I'm going to exit this and test it. I have a directory called dir1 and a file called file1. So I'll test it with that. I'll say /file test.sh. Enter your file name here, file1. Yes, it's a regular file. Run it again. This time dir1, which is actually a directory, and it says no, it's not a regular file. So how did it happen? It was the dash F that took a look at it and took a look at this file and said it's a regular file, identified it as a regular file, and then we got our results, or otherwise. Right? All right, so that's one example. Now let's try another example using the check age script. All right, so let's take a look at the check age script before we run um, any before we run the script. Now look at this. In the check age script, we have the if statement that reads if file1 is older than file2, then echo file1 is older than file2. Else echo file1 is not older than file2. Right? So let's test this. Exit, and I'll say let me list my files here again. Okay, so I have I can't remember whether file1 was created before dir1 or dir1 was created before file1. So I'll say /check age. All right, I run it, and what's the name of the first file? dir1. What's the name of the second file? File1. dir1 is not older than file1. All right, so now I remember that file called phonebook wasn't created today. It was created some time ago, while a number of others here were created today. So I'll use file phonebook. Let's run it again. Phonebook.txt, file1. All right, phonebook is older than file1. All right, so that's how to check. That's how to check which file is older than the other. Right? So the file comparison operators are used to check files in different ways. And they're very useful for a number of use cases when it comes to handling files. All right, we're going to take a few questions here and come back to continue shell scripting. See you soon.